Hey there. Hello, District 9 and beyond. We are so excited to be here. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. We are here today. I am Lolita E. Walker. I am your District 9 Board of Education representative, and I am so excited to have the former District 9 Board of Education representative, Sonya Williams, right here with me to bring her back into the fold to talk about Prince George's County Board of Education budget. Hey, Sonya.
Hey Lolita, I'm happy to be here. You got me up early on this Saturday morning talking about school board stuff. What's up with that? But
I
no, I'm
know, I
glad to be
know.
talking to you about this.
Once you're in, you're always in. Listen, one of the reasons why, just to give a background as folks join on, one of the reasons why I thought it was important to do this and to invite you here is because I remember when I came on board, I was elected, as you know, December 2022. And
Mhm.
one of the things you did with me that proved really, really helpful for me was really sit down and go through the budget. And what I'll show to people who, if it's your first time or if you're watching a replay or anything like that, hold on a second, I'm trying to get this big old book, is that this is the budget book. You see how thick it is? This is how many pages the budget book is. And if you're not familiar with a multi-billion-dollar budget, then it can come as a little overwhelming. And so it makes a lot of sense to kind of go through and listen to someone on how they actually go through it. It doesn't mean that that's how you're going to go through it, because there's multiple ways to skin a cat over here. However, it was really helpful to go through and see where your eyes lean on for what goes up and what goes down for costs. So thank you so much for that.
I think each board member brings a certain skill set. Each board member should bring a skill set of business-minded decision making to the board. And my focus primarily was initially was on the school buildings and certain activities. And so you may bring something different, other board members, so your eyes will go. So, when I first started looking at the board, and then I have a little bit of accounting background too. But when I started to look at the budget, I wanted to know everything. And so that's how I got so acclimated. And it was helpful that I did that. And I knew that you coming on board, as soon as you get sworn in December, we started the budget season. So you didn't have any time to, you know, sort of get acclimated and accustomed to your work. So I'm glad that you found that it was helpful.
Yes. So, as I said, welcome to everybody. We recognize that District 9, we rock always,
We rock
of
all the
course.
time.
Hashtag District 9 rocks. But hopefully, there's other districts that will be able to leverage this in the future, just as an overview. So, as I said, it's not that Sonya and I are the be all end all. It just is this, it can be overwhelming to some. So, we're going to show you the approach that we leverage. And I'll tell you, Sonya showed me how she went through, and then I went start going through a different type of way. So we're just gonna piggyback on a couple of things on each other and be able to kind of talk you through. Educate, advocate, act. You see my shirt? Here's my shirt. Educate, advocate, act. And when I was the chair of the Board of Education, it's more than just a slogan. It's really a way of doing business and a mentality. And the goal is really to educate ourselves, educate our constituents who are looking in. And this is a key piece of education. And then once you're educated on something, once you're understand it a little bit more, then you can advocate and understand what that is and then act. So we have 2 hours together today. When you leave today, you're going to be able to do a couple of things. That's the goal. This is the educator in me. You're going to be able to, one, read and make sense of the PGCPS budget. You're going to be able to understand some general budget terminologies. You'll be able to focus your attention on what's most important to you. And then you'll also be able to increase your budget confidence such that you can craft your questions. And as you craft your questions, you can type them in here if you have questions. So this is streaming live on Facebook, on my Facebook page, and is streaming live on my YouTube page. So you can type in questions live and we will get those. And if we can't answer them, no problem at all. We can take those questions back to the folks in the administration who will be able to answer those questions and help us as we go through the budget season. I, as a board member, take those questions, and I've already pulled together some of my own. Each board member can place questions there for during the budget cycle so that the respective chiefs can answer those and help us make decisions as we go through the budgeting process. You can type here and we'll have several iterations, but you also, inside of our budget public forums and our public sessions, which are open to everybody, you can make public comment. So as usual, you can come and you can have a 3-minute verbal public comment. You can write in and give us a written comment, or you can make a video and have a video comment. And each of those are available to the public as well as board members on board docs. Okay. So if you don't have access to board docs, we'll make sure we put that into the next District 9 newsletter so you understand how to do that. Okay. What's some other housekeeping things I want to tell you guys? Share any questions. I talked about that already. We're going to revisit these deliverables at the end to make sure we kind of check them all off, because we're going to be moving really quickly. And as you know, this was originally planned to be in person in District 9, because I really believe in small work groups. We're going to have some flip charts, some PowerPoints. You need a couple of slides to be able to see all of the things in reference and have small group discussions. However, the snow came. And what that means is that we are still going to do all of the things, but we're going to do them right here virtually. Okay. All right. I love it. I see Dr. Miller is joining, so we'll let her get her technology correct and then go ahead and bring them up. I did send out a notification that if you wanted to be live to be able to ask questions, you could have sent Tia Jackson. What's Tia's last name? Tia Johnson. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Tia. Tia Johnson, an email so that you can get the link to join us live. But not to worry, if you are not joining live to physically ask questions, again, you can type them all in. And I see a comment here. I can show you all how it will work. Pamela Boozer Struthers. Hey, Pam.
Hey, Pam.
She said, thank you, Board Member Walker and former Board Member Williams, for sharing your budget oversight expertise this morning. Thank you. And Pam, you have tons of expertise. You've been on a board much longer than me, so we'd love to have you. I shot you that link yesterday if you want to join. If not, typing in is going to be amazing as well. We'd love to hear from you. So today's format is going to be in 3 parts. The first part, we're going to do an overview. Okay. The overview is going to be a high level recap of the superintendent's review that he did at the last board meeting. We're going to look at a couple of slides to just kind of give us a framework of what this whole budget thing is all about. We're going to talk about vocabulary and a general method that we use to review the budget. And as you see things, you might say, "Ooh, I want to do it this way." Sounds amazing. Part 2.
Just a second.
What you say?
I think I just want to jump in for just a second, because this is a very overwhelming book. And you and I both, before we got on the board, we were PTA leaders. So as PTA leaders, you're responsible for going over your school's budget with your principal. So when you look at this, it's important that the PTA leaders and parents in general read through the book, but it's not a novel. It's not you start at page 1 and you go to page, 699 or something. The first section is what is important, but then you jump to the areas that you're interested in. Lots of parents are interested in the bus transportation, and they're interested in special education, or they're interested in the lunch. You can just jump right to those sections and look at those sections. No one is expected to read it from start to finish and understand it to the fullest. So I just wanted to share that with that's one tip that the parents should know. They just jump to the sections that you're interested in and just get to know those.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. So let me bring up Dr. Miller really quickly. I see her in the backstage. Oh, okay. We will not. She's like, no, don't bring me up here. Okay, we will not. But what I can say, because I can see the technical issues on the other piece, you could just turn that camera off because it's doing a lot of flickering. So that's just on the back end. Love it. All right. So we're going to get started because the time is moving. I told y'all 2 hours goes quickly and we haven't even gotten started. So our goal from the Board of Education perspective is to submit a balanced budget. What that means is a break-even point. So what you will see is that, and what you've heard the superintendent say, is that we have a $37 million deficit when it comes to the school board. I'm sorry, when it comes to our PGCPS overall budget. And it's important to understand that we're currently at this $37 million deficit. But what that really means is that PGCPS is projecting $37 million over, like our expenses to be $37 million over what the revenues are that are coming in. And so that's important, because as we go through this, you'll see something that says we have like an almost $3 billion budget, and it is an increase from 2025 projections. So I know this is a lot of talk, and I want you all to see it, because we're trying to allow people to see things pictorially with words, as well as with verbally trying to understand it, because we all hear things differently. Okay. Go ahead.
I just said we all learn differently. So seeing it in pictures, seeing it in words, and hearing it will help everyone receive it the best that they need to receive it. So great.
Yes. So when the superintendent and staff went through the budget, what they're proposing is, again, when you hear $37 million deficit, it indicates that the school system plans to spend, based on what they project and what they see, $37 million over what's expected to be given for revenues and generating revenues and money coming in. Okay. Some of the important vocabulary, and I'll have this in my next newsletter as well, just to verse yourself. I know some people said that they're going to have like pens and papers and everything together, and make notes. Please make notes. Okay. Oh, one thing I do want to add, I'm going to put it in a banner right here for you all, is the budget can be found at https:/budget 2026. Let me just show that to you all. And you can always go to pgcps.org. Okay, so that you can see it, and you can always, let me show you guys. Always easier to show. Hold, please.
Well, while you're doing that,
mm-hmm.
this budget is in the preliminary stages. So we're in the first part of it.
Wait, you're going in and out, Sonya, with your microphone.
Am I?
Uh-huh.
Hold on.
Okay, so you could go to pgcps.org. All things happen at pgcps.org. Okay. So if you go to pgcps.org, all you have to do right here is type 2026 budget. Okay. And anything you want to know, that's how you find all things on PGCPS. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, because I've also changed the actual link into a bit.ly so that it'll be easier for folks to get to. So if you want to follow along today, you could go to bit.ly/budget, capital B, budget 2026. And we're going to review that in a second. Before we get started, I think another thing that's really important is to understand the vocabulary, some key vocabulary words. And inside of your budget, just so you know, when you go to bit.ly/budget 2026, in the back is a glossary of terms. Okay. So if you are ever reading through this and you're like, what the heck does that mean? I don't really understand. No problem. Just go to the glossary that's in the back. But I've pulled out some that I think is going to be important as we go through. The first is, what is a deficit? Kind of explained it a little bit. And I know some people are like, what do you mean? No, everybody knows what a deficit is, but maybe everybody doesn't. So it really is when you're projecting to spend over what the money is that's coming in, over what the revenues are. And so to address those deficits, we can employ certain strategies. And some of the things we're going to be looking for are, how can we increase revenues? Is there any opportunity? But where can we find cost saving opportunities, and where can we find questions? Today's session is not about solving, because we're not the right people to solve. We are pulling out questions that we might want to ask the administration, challenge a little bit, ask ourselves a couple of things so that we can get ourselves to a balanced budget, because I've just shared that we are at a deficit. Restricted and unrestricted funds. You're going to see that a lot. What is restricted funds? What is unrestricted funds? So funds are categorized based on limitations that can be placed on them. That's really important to understand. And so you have this bucket of restricted and you have this bucket of unrestricted. When you think of restricted, which is also found in your glossary, it's like grant appropriations. That's usually federal or state, but they have conditions that is imposed upon them. So you have to use them for a specific purpose. Okay. Otherwise, it's like an ethical or legal issue, period. Restricted. They're restricted to exactly what they say that they are for. Jump in anytime, Sonya. I think that's just
Yeah, I
self-explanatory.
think that you're absolutely right. It's like some of the foundations or some of the grant funders, they only want to fund a certain portion of our education for students. And so, for example, the National Science Foundation, they may give $2 million for something. And there's something maybe purchasing books for students to read during science fair. And so that means we cannot buy math books on, or we can't buy books on constructing things. Um, you can only buy books for that purpose. You can't pay for teacher salary. You can't pay for building cleaners. It is specific to the purpose that the grant restricts it. So when it's restricted funds, you can only use it for those purposes.
Yep. And as we go through the budget, you're going to also see those are specifically called out. We're not going to go through them in detail here, but I'll show you where they are. So in your time in this budget cycle, you'll also be able to do that. Okay. No worries. Then unrestricted is a little bit of flexibility. So when we talked about restricted, it's only for these specific things for these specific reasons. You have to use it like that. As Sonya explained, as we just talked about what restricted means. When you look at unrestricted, those are a little bit more flexible for us to take a look at. The board has a little bit more discretion over those specific funds. We can challenge, ask questions, but these are vital for covering for our operational expenses, which we'll go through today, addressing any unexpected costs, new initiatives, responding to needs that might arise, things like that. So to manage what we're calling our $37 million budget deficit, we could consider how do we reduce the expenditures that are there. So that's where our eyes will go, is how do we reduce the expenditures? Where are we spending money? Does it make sense? Can we do anything for cost savings? Can we ask a couple questions on if we can do things differently? Having that mindset that every single dollar that we want to add. So if there's anything and we say, oh no, we need to add money to this is one of our key priorities, then don't forget, if we're running out of deficit already, every single dollar that we want to add, we have to find somewhere to be able to pull away. So those are the kind of things that we want to keep in our minds, because we want to give a balanced budget. I'm like a budget balanced.
A balanced budget. We want our income to be equal to our expenses.
Yes.
Absolutely. And in this first phase, this first phase, because there are two parts, as you know, to the budget review and the budget approval process. This first part, it goes to the county council, and the county executive, and I know you will show it. We know when it comes back to us after the county budget is approved, more than likely that budget will be cut. So we may even have to cut a little detail.
Oh, sorry. You are going in and out, Sonya, just as a heads up.
I don't know what's going on. Let me try.
It works. It works sometimes. Guys, you know what I'm trying to do? I'm so sorry. I'm going to share my screen because there's a couple of foundational things before we get into the budget that I think the superintendent did a great job of sharing with us, a couple of presentations. So I have 3 screens up. So I want you guys to bear with me because I have my budget book that I wrote tons of notes in. I have 3 screens because I want to make sure that I'm giving you all the right information. But hold, I swear I was prepared, you guys. I had all of this stuff up. I can't find it now. One sec.
You know, we always got to pivot and be flexible.
I know, all of the things. That's what we do. That's what we do.
Is this mic better?
Yeah, sounds really good.
Okay, good.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to it right now. All right, so we have a couple of things. Okay, here it is, the questions template. So in this document, I want to show you all this budget cycle review, which I thought was pretty good. Where is it? Here it is.
And this is also found in the budget book too.
What did you say?
It's also found in the budget book as well. Correct? The budget, sort of an outline of the budget schedule.
Oh, yeah, it is actually. Yes, but let me share this one here because yeah. So we're going to do some foundational things, folks. We do have a comment, Pamela, as a PTO leader before running for the board, I used to search function in a PDF to find the budget and plan highlights for program arts and then did a public. Yes, this is a great point. And when we get to the budget, we can leverage the PDF to do that. So thank you, Pam, for that, because the search function is magical in all things. So if you have a passion around arts or disability or security and safety or academics, anything like that, you search for and you can really dig in to those pieces right there. Thanks, Pam. All right, let me share my screen. Present, share screen. I'm going to share entire screen. I have to talk it out loud. Here you go. So this is available on, I'm sure, on pgcps.org. This is the 2026 budget cycle review that was given to us as board members and also to the public. It's available. We're not going to go through all of it, but I thought some of these pieces were really good to talk about as far as timing. So we are in January now. You can see that this is the piece of the budget timeline where we're looking at requested funding. We're going through and figuring out where cost savings opportunities exist so that we can present a budget, a balanced budget. It talks about proposed budget cycle, our budget cycle and unrestricted revenue that comes from state and local fundings. It talks about our state grants, our board sources, local share, use of funds. And here we have taking a look. Hold on, where's the piece I really want to tell y'all about? One sec. Oh, in our presentation that I'm going to show you in a second, this talks about some of the projections and some systematic projections that we must keep mindful of as we move forward, because there's some things that are mandatory that we have that I want to be able to talk to you all about. So in this phase one, I think Sonya talked about these 3 phases. This phase one is what we're doing right now and preparing for, which is the Board of Education member budget questions and responses. So this is in anticipation of each of the board members looking at this in detail and coming up with questions. And as we give our questions, the administration will then go back and answer these questions and answers so that then we can frame ourselves, regroup, and then come back with another question and answer session. Throughout this entire thing, this community engagement is happening because at each step of the way, the community, each of you all looking on and watching the replay, will have the opportunity to make your voices heard, ask questions, etc. Then we have board member amendments, and then we finalize the budget and send it in.
Send it to the county executive.
Yes, thank you.
To make it a part, and it's important, I think this is an important part. We send this to the county executive, who's responsible for the budget for the county. Prince George's County Public Schools, most parents know, but if you don't, Prince George's County Public Schools represent 62% of the county's budget. And so we send our part, which is 62% of the budget, and then all the other services, health, firefighting, police, all of those other services, they send their budget as well. And then the county executive recognizes, or the budget, department, they know how much they're getting from state and federal to support the budget. We know right now that the state is saying there is a deficit at the state. So once the county executive gets all the information about the overall county budget that we're going to get, they send it to the county council for review. And then the county council review and approves a budget. Typically, there are modifications, there are reductions in most cases. That budget then comes back to the school system. So then we will get a second stab. And in most cases, it will be a reduction to the budget. And that is the final reconciliation process. So.
Yep. No, thank you for that. Yes, yes, yes. And so what Sonya was just saying, these are the timelines that match exactly that timeline, that what she was just explaining. So January 16th, which is only a couple days from here, I will, as your District 9 board representative, submit a number of questions that'll come back. Those questions, don't worry, I'll put them into the newsletter so you can see exactly what the questions and answers were for those, but it will be made public as well. So you'll not only see my questions, but you'll see all board member questions as well as the responses from the administration, those specific chiefs on the questions that we have. Okay, so that you can also know when you are giving your comment what the details were around that. Okay, so you can see here January 16th, all of our questions as the board go in. And if you have questions, I'm happy to add those as well and incorporate those into some of the questions we have, which is why we're having this session right here, not only for District 9, but for whoever's looking on. Also want to shout out the board members who I know are looking on as well. So welcome. What's next? We have a work session number 2. That's January 30th. So within a 2-week period, there's more questions that can be submitted because those questions and answers are going to start coming back. Okay. Then we have more work sessions. All of this is available to you so that you can see them. We have our phase 2. We're not going to go through all of this, but you can see dates. It's very open and transparent for all of those. And then that takes us into when the book is posted publicly. Okay. Again, all of this has continuous community engagement because that is important. You can also log on to the OBAFA committee, which is our budget committee, and you can hear the details or you can make public comments. Remember, I was talking about public comments earlier. So those not only can happen at the board meeting itself, but they can also happen at the OBAFA committee who deals with the budget and goes a little more in depth than what you hear at the public hearings. Okay. Now, what's also important, remember I told you that this today is broken into 3, right? I know we haven't gotten to the budget yet, but we got to set the foundation so that you can understand when we start going through that relatively quickly. So we're still in the first section. Okay. And Pam wants to add on as well. She said that the county contribution dropped last year. Yep. And this is stagnant at the fiscal 24 level. The county portion of the budget has dropped to 32.2% of PGCPS revenue sources for the annual operating budget. Thank you so much, Pam, for adding that key point in. And I also wanted to say this. I'm so glad that Pam is here, and Pam represents District 3. I'm so glad that she's here because one person can't give you an overview about the budget. It really takes multiple eyes, multiple perspectives, multiple people to be able to see different things that you might not see or to provide a perspective. And so thank you so much, Pam, for being here. I really, really, really appreciate that. Which is another reason I asked Sonya to come too. Okay. I think this too, we already know that when the budget, when we take a look at it, and you might have already taken a look at it with the bit.ly I told you about, you're going to see 2024 actuals, right? What we actually spent for when we ended the budget cycle in June 30th of 2024. Then you're going to see what the board approved for 2025. Okay. Then you're going to see, based on what the board approved, what's estimated to be at the end of the fiscal year 2025 in June, and then what's proposed. So as we take a look at that, and you'll see my eyes typically go to what's going up, what's going down, and in the middle, like down and across is where we kind of look. Okay. What else is an overview? We're going to skip this. You can look at it in your book. We have school-based resources, which we took a look at, and I don't think the details are within this budget. So that'll be one of our questions that we'll ask about that. You can do this on your own, but one of the things it talks about, what are all of the departments and what are they responsible for, which you can take a look at in your budget book because you too have access. Remember I talked about mandatory costs. So one of the things here as an overview is that the fiscal 26, again, we have operating budget of, I was going to say $3 billion, but every dollar counts. So we're going to say 2.938. Okay. 2.938. We didn't round up to 9 because it's not a 5 over there.
Right. No, I remember when we crossed the $2 billion mark. You know, it was like, wow, we're at $2 billion needed to educate our students in Prince George's County. So for you to almost be at $3 billion, wow, incredible.
Incredible. Absolutely. And I think one of the things that is important is the number is massive, right? It's 62% of the budget. And there's always a question on, well, why do you all need more? Why can't you do it with $3 billion. Like, oh my gosh. And so I think it's important to really go through and see where are the funds going. And that's always the question is, what are you all doing with 62% of the budget? Well, we have 133,000 scholars across this entire district. We have operational costs, they have buildings. And so we're going to go through the budget because we want to be able to answer that question. And it's imperative that you all understand where the money's going so we can challenge it and say, wait, why are we putting money over here? Because every single dollar that we take for something else comes out of something else. And that's important to see. Now, mandatory costs, we do have some mandatory costs. And it's important to see that it covers employee negotiated contracts. So think about your bus drivers, think about your teachers, think about those negotiated contracts for our employees. And it's important that we cover compensation, the retirement, the leave, the benefits, and then blueprint. And then we have blueprint legislation that also is mandatory. And so our mandatory costs, which you'll see inside of the budget, you'll see is $108 million. Okay. And I'm sorry, 102, Lord, 102.
Yeah, because, we have, I think you have over 20,000 employees. I know it's over 20,000 employees now. Teachers, bus drivers, class, school administrators, that represent a lot. Then you have 201 schools that you have to heat, light, and do landscaping and make all of those things. So those mandatory costs are included in that. You have a comment from someone? Sonya
I do.
Belfield?
Oh, yes, I do. She said, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ms. Belfield. Thanks for being here. She said, thanks for the session. Sorry if it was already answered, but was the drop in the county contribution one of the main reasons for the deficit? Good question. I think when you pull out, I don't know that it's the main reason. What I'll say is that we get federal, we get state, and we get local dollars. And anytime there's any money pulled out, then we're going to have less revenue coming in. So as we project the cost of what we're going to spend, our expenditures, then there you go. There's our deficit. And that's what we're seeing with our $37 million. And actually, it started off at $42 million, which we're going to show in a minute when we get to the budget, but we'll show that it's $42 million was what we were in the red. The administration found some ways to do some cost savings and redistribute some funds, pull some funds and redistribute some funds. And therefore we're at a $37 million deficit where we have to find where that money's coming from. So I hope that answers the question. It's not, let's say it's not the main reason, but it is a reason.
It's a contributing factor.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for asking that and pointing that out, Ms. Belfield. Also, we have the cost of doing business. And before we do that, Pam said that the state and county both have the power to engage in revenue and tax reform to fully fund. Good point. So the Board of Education and PGCPS, we're not revenue generating. Let me separate that. The Board of Education is not revenue generating. PGCPS receives funds, again, from state, from local, from federal. However, what Pam is highlighting here, board member Boozer Struther is highlighting here, is that the state and the county both are, their bodies help to generate revenue and find where can we get revenue. And so what she's saying is they have the power to engage in revenue sources and in tax reform. So whether it's legislation or whether it's seeking additional funding to fully fund the PGCPS budget. So we project what it is that we need, and then they come back and tell us what it is they can give. Anything you want to add right there?
No, you're absolutely right. We do not generate income. We're not a tax generating entity. We rely on the county budget and the state budget to fund our expenses.
Yes. And another key point, thank you so much, is when there's an unexpected expense or something that's unfunded. So let's say that we have, after we kind of do the budget, the legislative season is over and there's some new bills that have come in, and those new bills there's a new law that's come in, and there's those new laws that come in mean that now we have another fiscal note. We need to figure out how we're going to pay for it inside of the budget that we've already passed. So we need to go through and figure out from where we will pull this to adhere to this new law, that means something is going to have to come out because we only have this pot of money. Make sense?
Right.
I know I talk with my hands. We have this pot of money. There's no more coming in, but we have something that we have to do by law. So we have to figure out where that's going to come from. And then if it's something that is ongoing inside of the law, then we have to then budget for it in the next season. Okay.
Yes.
Awesomeness. All right. Cost of doing business. Just exactly what it sounds like. It's the cost of making sure our school is going to run effectively and efficiently. It's technology maintenance and upgrades, the things we got to do. It's about utilities, paying a light bill, paying a heating bill, all of the things. And then the leases for our schools. Okay. All right. What else is important to understand? Redirected resources. Redirected resources. Okay. So this here, and we'll see it as we go through the main budget. The reason why I kind of like this is because it talks to you about what you will see in projecting inside of the budget. Is it says redirected resources reflect reductions from amounts that's appropriated in 2025. And so you'll see here some monies that came out and some that are projected. We'll talk about it more when we go through the budget. You'll also see, and this is about understanding the budget book. There's a place where it says, okay, we need some organizational improvements. And as we look at our organization, there's some recommendations from different departments on how we can be more effective and efficient. And this, for an example, says that the board office, integrity and compliance, and safety and security resources has said, hey, guess what? We want to be more efficient and effective. We need our organizational improvements. And so as I take a look at something like this, I'll say, oh, okay, so the board office is asking for additional $184,000. Well, let's really see what is it that they're really asking for that for. I happen to know, and on the next page, that's where we'll go to the next page, because then you'll see the details. So the way that the budget book works is it tells you something, and then it tells you the details right under it. This is just an example. So the Board of Education office is specifically asking for another FTE in fiscal year 2026 for a communication specialist. What I can tell you, I know people are like, what? Why do you need that? Etc. Right? So this is not to solve. This is to write down questions and to be able to ask those questions on thinking creatively and trying to figure out how can we think creatively to reduce the overall deficit that we have. Okay. I just want to keep on reiterating that.
And as you can see here, some of these will ask for a full-time employee, and others, there is no full-time employee associated with it because it may be an activity or some system or something that this group is asking for. So you'll see the FTE for the second one, building services, is 0, and they tell you it's for retention ponds. So they're asking for $2 million to deal with that. And the same for the third. They're not asking for an individual. They're asking for this technology system to add. So, yeah.
Yeah, out of discretionary funds. Good point. Mm-hmm. And that's how you kind of read this. So what I will say, from being the chair of the Board of Education previously and the vice chair of the Board of Education previously, is that, and it came through an amendment request last year, which was approved, a communication specialist for the board. It was shorter money than this is here because it was asking for a part-time person, and it was a contracted person, to be specific, for a certain amount of time. I will say that the board will benefit from a communication specialist. I know that I found myself, the board director found himself, even our legal counsel at some points, really trying to pull together communications, whether it be press releases or responses to the media or social media, just to get things out. It would be beneficial. And so what this is asking for is a full-time person, one at $184,000. So one of the questions I will ask is what can we do to reduce this by way of maybe a part-time person, maybe being more focused on it, maybe being more focused on what the work plan is? What can we do in order to try to reduce the dollar amount, knowing that the FTE is critical, but what can we do in order to reduce that dollar amount? So I will take that off. Everybody might not have the same questions, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. And on this one, the FTE includes salary and benefits. So, all of the things, health insurance and things like that, are included in the $184,000 $100,000, that person will not make $184,000 and take home $184,000.
Oh, thank you for that, because that I know that people will ask that question. And then I also see that the Office of Integrity and Compliance is asking for another FTE at $204,000. And so another question that I will have for that, the thing about the Office of Integrity and Compliance, if folks remember, that was a law that was put in place for office to be able to identify as an independent office fraud, waste, and abuse. Okay. And so as they do that job and build up their office, my question just around that is this the right year to be able to add something in before we're able to see any results as to what the value add as far as revenue, or what has been shown for overall results for that fraud, waste, and abuse, to be able to say that the ROI on this is really paying for this standalone office, which will be helpful for our budget to be able to reallocate those dollars elsewhere. So I'm just going to tag that on mine.
This is a good example, Board Member Walker, of a law that was unfunded. So the law came in saying that the school system will create this Office of Integrity and Compliance. And I don't know what the budget was last year that you all had to figure out. So let's say, for example, this law was created this year and you're asking for $2.9 billion. So if the legislators put in a new office responsibility in the PGCPS, then they should also add the fiscal note that it carries. So they should say, like, oh, they're asking for 2.9 billion. This is 200,000. So we're going to give them $3.1 billion. But that did not occur. You asked for your 2.9. This law came that had a fiscal note attached to it, but no fiscal dollars came to support that. So then when you reconcile your budget, you then have to take dollars away from something else in order to fund this law.
Yes, we do have two additional comments. So the first one, thank you, Board Member Boozer Struther. Oh no, that wasn't the right one. Sorry. Says the county oh no, wait. Oh my gosh, you guys, hold on. We have a lot of comments. One second. Here it is. The Maryland General Assembly convened the Kerwin Commission to put a dollar amount on underfunding of Maryland public schools. 2.9 billion a year was the answer. Mm-hmm. Thank you for reminding us. And this is a good point, is that Pamela Boozer Struther also has the historic perspective as well, because she's been on our board the longest. So we appreciate that. And then our new board member of District 1, thank you so much for chiming in. This is Dr. Anderful. She said to Ms. Belfield, we are projecting a decrease in federal revenue, but it is a smaller portion of our revenue. State and county revenue make up the largest sources of revenue. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And we're losing, and you'll see it this year in the budget, we're losing a lot of the coronavirus money. We had a lot of money come in to support education during the coronavirus situation. And then we had a lot of funding that came afterward to support the students' loss of learning during the COVID virus situation. So yeah, she's exactly right. Good point. And welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, Dr. Anderful. Yes. If you are just joining us, you can grab the budget at bit.ly/budget/2026. Make sure you have a capital B right there. Also, we can see that we will be, the projection is to add 6 FTEs around safety and security counselors. I'm going to, I do have a question on my own sheet about safety and security counselors. I wonder, are those, just what are they? What's the definition of a counselor? Safety and security counselor.
That's a good question to at least get the answer on the record.
Yeah, exactly. I have that on my sheet as well. All right. Let's keep on going, folks, because guess what? It's almost 11 and we're still in section 1. Okay. This is about pupil population. It just talks about the number of students that we have across, and what you can see here is we're going to have almost 134,000 students, as we continuously say. Okay. Oh, let me just look up one sec. Hold on. Yes, which is an increase from last year's fiscal year. Okay. And then I think also important, what you'll see is that what the administration has done a good job of is, as you look through the book for every single department, you'll see an overview of the department budget. So you'll see the organizational overview and the analysis before you get to the details. You'll have what the mission is. You'll have how it supports the strategic plan, what the core services is, like what do they do. You'll take a look at what their operating position is, and then what any program enhancements they have, and then the details. So for instance, if you were to look at this, you would say, which one was this again? Let me look. Okay. Chief Financial Officer. So this is Lisa Howell's organization. So for a chief financial officer, what you'll see inside of this example is that she ended the year in 2024 with 3 FTEs, and we approved as the budget for 2025 3. She's holding steady, estimated to end at 3, and she's proposing 3. So she's very steady across the board. That to me looks great. I wouldn't have any flags, at least for me, to ask any questions around that. And then when you go and take a look at the details in her budget, which you can see here, right here, is of course this unrestricted funds that she has. In 2024, she ended at 731,000. She projected a bit more, is on track to, which was approved. Let's just say it was approved in 2025. She's on track to meet that and close that gap, no problem. However, she is requesting an additional 50, 60, 70, 80, almost $40,000. And so if you wanted to dig into where does that $40,000 lay? So I see that you're holding steady right here. I don't really know why you're projecting to have another $40,000. Well, it tells you right here. So this is something of where my eyes would go and say, well, where is the $40,000 coming? Well, I can see, especially if you're not having any additional folks, right? So you see salary and wages. Okay.
We always should expect an increase in salary and wages.
Exactly.
You know.
As well as the benefits. Yep. Because
Right,
they get cost
right.
of living, all of the things. And that's really what's happening here, because she's not going up in any folks. Okay. So it doesn't draw a red line, but you can ask the question. And if you ask the question, you just go back and look at the details. Okay. She's holding steady, which is great. Look, $300 for supplies. You can't push back on that. Absolutely. So then you take a look and you have it. So for me, for this one specifically here, I wouldn't have any specific questions, but somebody might have questions on that. But that, I gave you that example because that's how you kind of read the book and get your mind right around it. Okay. All right.
Right.
Let's see what
And
else.
let's pause here for just one more second.
Yep.
So as a parent, if I'm looking at that, and if we believe that it's a needed service, for example, a lot of parents, they lean towards looking at special needs, and they feel that if this was their budget where everything is holding steady, but you're feeling like the services are not where they should be, you can ask the question, well, should we add more? Do we need more staff for this or that? You know what I'm saying? So there could be a question that someone may ask you about a certain curriculum service that we're providing, that we may need an additional increase, or they would want to suggest an additional increase. Pam did have a comment in the chat.
Yes, I have that here. Board of Education, thank you, Board Member Boozer Strother. She said, Board of Education internal audit already exists since 1974. And this is going back to the Office of Integrity and Compliance. Sorry, I didn't get to it in the right time frame. The Fraud, Waste, and Abuse Hotline audits and investigations have been professionally staffed for decades. OIC, which if you remember, this is the one that we remember early on. I told you that I would write that question.
You just passed it.
Here it is right here, right? Yeah. And this is the one when we were talking about what is organizational improvements, and different organizations can say, hey, I want to improve my organization by doing this, and ask for FTEs. In this one here, when we were talking about integrity and compliance, they are looking for another FTE. When we go deeper into the budget, which we're about to go to in a second, I promise, when we go deeper into the budget, then you'll see exactly what the FTE is for. So we want to make sure that you all can take a look at how to read that budget and how to say, well, what is the person going to do? All right. And so what Board Member Boozer Strother is saying, in case folks didn't remember, is that the Board of Education does have an internal audit department, and we do. And so she's saying that this is a law, as we talked about before, and it adds a bit of duplicity into what we're seeing inside of our budget. So thank you, Board Member Boozer Strother, for pointing that out. Also, I think it's good to say, I just off of the top of my head, there is a proposed legislation that is in is HB. I'm sorry, it's not HB. It's PG 50425, and that takes a look at how can we a proposal for enhancements on how can we make this standalone office more accountable, transparent. What can we do by way of work plan, so we understand a little bit more as to what is there, what's the ROI, how are we going to start to see the fraud, waste, and abuse, how can it come to the public, how can the public make sure that they are able to give voice to that. So there are some things hopefully underway where we'll be able to make this a little more efficient, transparent, accountable, and drive a lot of clarity around this office as well. Okay. All right, let's keep on going. I think that we got the overview, y'all. What you think? You think we got the overview? I think we got the overview.
I think we got the overview.
I think we got the overview. All right. Now, congratulations. You have officially passed step 1. Okay. There will be no tests. I think I'm hilarious sometimes. Hold on, guys. Let me stop sharing. Let me stop sharing. I'm going to go to the budget. Let me pull it up so that you all see the right thing. All right. Now, don't forget, you too can follow in the budget, okay? https://bit.ly/budget, capital B 2026. And I'm going to now share my screen. Let me take a sip of water. All right. Did you guys see my shirt I showed you earlier? Educate, Advocate, Act Together.
So we finished the educate part of the budget.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can advocate. I showed them, we talked about how do you advocate, right? You can talk to your legislators. We'll talk about that as next steps. They can come to the board meeting to be able to talk on behalf of where they see questions, etc. Part of the education. Okay. This is still part of education too. You think so? I think so.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is a whole education forum. I'm telling you, this stuff is good. All right, guys. Let's get into it. I think, can you see it large? If somebody who's looking on can tell me, do you all need to see it larger? I can just make it larger.
Just make it larger.
Yeah.
And what does that say? Is how many pages is that?
280. You were almost correct.
I said 699.
Did you? I try to give grace where grace is due. Okay, let's go, you guys. So we will not go in detail for all 280 pages. No. We've actually reviewed a number of those already. The goal of today, don't forget, is to help to educate and give you a general overview. So we are going there. You can take a look at all of the key table of contents and all of the things, okay? We've given you some nice note pages. You see these blank pages. You can make notes on those. You can do like I did and save it, and you can have a highlighter there. You can make some notes in Adobe. Okay, now this is Lolita's copy, so you make your own copy, but I did put some notes in here. This is
the overview of sort of what we just talked about.
Yes.
So if you read this first section, it reiterates what you just went over.
Boom and bam. That's what I was going to tell them. And I was exactly. Thanks, Sonya. See, this is why we tag team. That's exactly what it talks about the timeline. This too is a great way to talk about the timeline. So let's keep on going because we have reviewed that in detail. Okay.
Let me give you a District 9 tip. And this is only for the District 9 folks. Everybody else got to stop listening. If you really want to impact the budget, it starts right after we approve the final budget in June. That's when you're really putting in your thoughts and ideas to start developing the next budget. Because even though we're finished in June, or the board is finished in June, staff and the administrators, they start working on the next fiscal budget right away.
Yep. Yes. Come on, tips. Love it. Okay. We already talked about this, you guys. It'll be in my next District 9 newsletter, but you too could look at it. I've already
Mhm.
talked about, oh, look at this. We have covered so much already. Look,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
section
this
1.
first section.
Yeah, in the first section, we sure did.
Mm-hmm,
These highlights are mine for my questions that I've already pulled out. Look at us. Okay, hold on. We did that.
Now we know that you're looking at the budget, and this is me being, a board member. You can ask your board member to see their highlights, or ask them, some of the questions that they're asking, that they're thinking about as well.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yep. And you can share the questions that you have because they'll
Mm-hmm,
be able to add those to their questions list as well. Okay.
mm-hmm.
That's a great idea. Look at that. Okay. So let's see. Hold on. Hold on. Oh no, we're gonna. So this is good because this overall will tell you the budget highlights and where you might want to focus your general attention. So, for instance, I always take a look, and I'm surprised it's not highlighted here. I bet it's highlighted somewhere else. But I
It's
always
highlighted
take a
somewhere
look
else.
at this textbook and instructional materials every single year. I say, hey, we're going down in this. Can you help me understand? And I truly believe, because I asked it last year as well, is that there's a lot of technology happening. Textbooks are reducing, but our online materials are increasing. So our digital footprint is increasing, which means that our textbooks and instructional materials can come down by way of overall costs. So we'll ask that again this year, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I ask every year just to make sure that I'm in the up and up. Okay.
Yeah, but you should note that the license to a lot of our textbooks still costs the same as if you bought a
Mhm.
hard copy book. I
Mhm.
think that the biggest difference is that the teachers are able to go to current sources to get information on today's activities,
Yeah.
where before you just had one book that you use, or maybe two books in a class that you use. Now you can go to so many different resources.
Yeah. Good
So the
point.
need for that is going down. The
Yeah.
need for the
Good point.
books are going down.
Yep. And then Ms. Belfield said, thank you, Dr. Anderful. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We love all the help that's happening right now.
Yes, yes.
Yes. All right. So we're gonna just keep on going. This just let's
This is
see.
the part that I recommend everyone reading, this
Yeah.
first portion.
Maintenance of effort.
Yeah. That's what it was called. I was trying to think of it yesterday, maintenance
Yeah.
of effort. What that means is whatever we get for the school system budget this year, next year, the county cannot go below that.
Right.
So if they give us $5 this year, they got to give us $5 next year. They can't
Or
give
more.
us $4.50 or more. We always want more. That's why that's why we are where we are. But yeah,
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, we were thinking of what the Sonya and I
the
did
term
a
was.
prep. Yeah. We chatted last night and we were like, what's the term? What's the term? Because they call it something else inside of this budget. Okay, got it. Um Boom. All right, we're gonna keep on going, y'all. You guys can go into that in detail. So here I've highlighted a couple things, and we've already really talked about this, but restricted. So you can see here that we're losing all of our federal coronavirus grants. We talked about that earlier, and that we're going to start to see some reductions in these federal dollars, and this is where you see that. We also have some ESSER dollar, ESSA, I call it ESSER, but it's ESSA dollars as well, which we won't have. I highlighted, you know what I didn't tell you guys? Let me make sure I can show you all that real quick. I don't know why I didn't show you that. I want to show you the, hold on. Can you see?
As you
Yeah,
look
you can
that
see.
up,
Hold
this
on.
this just shows how
Uh-huh.
complicated or how detailed you go into the budget. It's just not you looking at this book alone. You're looking at other things and considering other things as you develop your questions. So this is not
Yeah,
an easy episode.
it's not. Okay, this is where I'm trying to go. Hold on. What I'm trying to show you guys, and I might just have to say it because YouTube is not working with me this morning, but the superintendent went over. Here it is. This is where I'm trying to go. Yes, pause. this is one of the things I keep in mind as I go through the budget too. So the superintendent has told us that he has 5 priorities or focus areas when it comes to the budget. The first is literacy, mental health, multilingual learners, students with disability, and transportation. Okay. So as we go through the budget, you want to keep those 5 in mind, because as you look at the dollars that's associated with that, you really want to match Lolita. Let me say, I want to match the priorities. If you say they're your priorities, let's match it with the dollars that's associated with it. So I would expect or have a question. Let me just say that I would have a question if any of these went down in dollars, because they are priorities. And so I would want to understand if there are priorities, then how are we focusing on that? And if we're reducing money, then help me to understand what focus areas look like that might not cost money. And it might be great because you looked at a cost savings opportunity, but help me understand that. And those are some of the things that we could ask questions about. So I wanted to make sure you all knew what the 5 key priorities were for the 2026 strategic framework, which we should take a look at. We should keep in mind as we go forward. Okay. Boom. Let's move that back over here. I knew it was something. All righty. And those are what you see here. Me highlighting some of those things. And again, this is revenue. These are sources of revenue. Okay, let's keep on going. That tells you where are we getting the money? Where are we getting the money? Okay. This is the same like restricted programs. These are programs that, again, we define restricted. If you weren't here, you could go back and look to the beginning of the video to talk about what restricted funds are. But this tells you, for instance, adolescent single parenting program. This is a program that really needs to focus on adolescent single parenting. And what does that look like? What does that feel like? There's stipulations that are around that. And it's proposed at $185,000, which was what was approved last year. Okay. And they're holding steady at that. There's zero change. That's how you would look at it over here. You look at something like this, American Rescue Plan State Supplemental, which we saw earlier, is a grant that it is a loss 100%. So we no longer have this grant. Okay. Okay. That's how you read that section. We did good with section 1. This is the details of it. So again, we just talked about adolescent single parenting program. Remember, I told you if it's restricted, it says that it has to provide direct services to at-risk adolescent single parents to remain in school. That's the focus. That's where all these dollars have to go. You can't spend it on anything else. It's for this specific purpose. Thus, it's restricted to exactly that. So what you can do is take a look at what are the grants and what is the program that's associated, which you can learn a lot about, honestly, because sometimes if you're only watching the board meetings, even for board members, I'll say for myself, sometimes you don't even recognize all of the programs that exist because we don't necessarily talk about them in a monthly basis. Okay. So this is more education as a parent. I'm a parent. What homeless education, what are the grants around that? Like, did you know there were grants around that? So you can also use this just to educate yourself on all the amazing things that's happening inside of PGCPS that we don't even get a chance to talk about. All right, let's keep on going. Oh, this is where, remember, Pam said that if she's interested in arts, you can just click right here, you press arts, and it'll tell you where all the arts are, which will focus your attention. So because this book is so massive, some people might have passion areas or interest areas that they really want to focus detailed on. And that's what we would have done if we were in person, but you could do it here too. And send in your questions or type them in. Okay. We're going to keep on going. Boom, boom, boom. Let's get to the other pieces. I'm trying to go. Uh-oh. All right. Oh, look. Who said I didn't highlight this already? What? It's right there. It's right there. I also had a question around student health services. And, in fiscal year 2024, we had actuals. We're holding steady to even a reduction. Great job. But we're proposing even less as we move in. And so it's more of an education for me. Like, just can you talk to me about the student health services and what is prompting the decrease in that? Maybe we've done some amazing optimization within that space, but just understanding what that is and looking at transportation services. So for instance, if transportation is one of our priorities, I talked to you all about that earlier. I keep in mind what are the priorities that we have for our strategic plan. And then if there's any reduction in those, help me understand what optimization is happening that will prompt you to reduce dollars in such a critical area. Okay. So I'll be asking that question as well. That's how, and again, what we're talking about here is how you could choose to look at the budget, how you could choose to look at where dollars are so that it could prompt you with questions. Okay. All right. Have anything to add there, Sonya?
No, it's good. I think
Okay.
it's good.
All right. Next is the same thing. So you can see here again, my eyes typically go over here. What's the change? But also this is only the change, which you talked about last night. This is only the change from the fiscal year 2025 estimated to the 2026 proposed. It's not, so you could kind of miss what's in here. Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to take a look at those as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I would always go to the actual spent a year ago and see what they're proposing this year.
Yep. So for instance, I'm gonna just look at one right here, supplies and materials, right? We actually spent 87 million. We approved 88 million, but we're only estimated to spend that 87 million, a little over it. And but we are projecting that we're going to decrease by 16% in what we're asking for. So one might ask like, oh, well, where is that coming from? And then you can go further down and see supplies and materials and kind of look at that, right, or ask the question for them.
Yeah, my question would be, if we actually spent 87 million in 2024, why are you only asking for 73 million this year? Yeah. Where are you finding, where's the reduction coming from?
Absolutely. So that would be, oh, hold on. That would be a great question to ask. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because there might be some optimization happening that we might not be aware of.
Which is great. It's
absolutely great. We're all for it. We're all for it. Next, the operating expenditures by organization. So remember, in the beginning, you saw the organizational chart with all the divisions, all of the chiefs. And so now what this does is it breaks down all of the departments and it says, as an overview, what are the changes in the operating expenditures overall? We do have another comment. So let me throw that up here really quickly. Hey, Ms. Millhouse, welcome to the budget party. Good morning. This is great. I always look at the trend as well. During my early advocacy, prior to advocating for expanding language, immersion programs, I first needed to know the current cost. Absolutely. Good job. So the trend, I love that. And if you are watching on and you have something that you look at, where do your eyes go, then definitely put that in, because it's not just one size fit all. Okay. Thank you so much for that. And Ms. Millhouse has a passion for language immersion because of her own scholars. And so when you have a passion, remember we talked about that, your interest, then you can type that into the search bar. Okay. Love it. So what I would do here is take a look at exactly what we've already talked about. Oh, this is just the changes. So I wouldn't do it on here, but these are just the changes. So you can just quickly see, right? We have, hold on a sec, change from estimated to proposed.
Yeah, the changes between 25 and 26.
Yeah, but why does this change? Yeah, but why does it say restricted? Hold on.
Maybe that's just the restricted portion. It's probably explained somewhere in the book. Yeah. Typically, they explain it somewhere.
Yeah, I just got to make myself a note because I don't know. I'm sure it's explained. So let me just write that on my handy dandy sheet over there. And so the beauty of going through the budget is you can also just write yourself some notes. And then as you go back, if you've already had it, check it off. So Ms. Millhouse also said, I reviewed the cost to then highlight the fiscal impact my request would have on the current budget with the projected cost over 3 to 5 years. Look, I'm telling you, people really dig into this budget, guys. This is really what you want to dig into.
And this is a good chart here to just summarize the difference between last year's and the request this year. And so we didn't have this when I was reviewing the budget. So I am very delighted to see something like this. So while she's doing that, I'm also going to say that the budget that we're looking at now in its current state, it's considered the superintendent's budget because this is what he's bringing to the board for approval. When the board approves it, it becomes the board's budget. When we send it to the county executive and the county executive has massaged it, and then she approves it and sends it to the county council, it is then the county executive's budget because then they'll have all the other services, county services in it. And when the county council reviews and approves it and make their modifications, it becomes the county's budget. So right now we're looking at that's why you'll see at the top, requested budget. Mm-hmm. It is the superintendent requesting the board to approve the budget.
Yes, thank you for adding that. That's important to note too, because the verbiage changes. So thanks for that. Yeah, come on now. Tips. Okay. Let's keep going because the beauty of this one here, and the beauty of this here is that now we're going to go down and see each one specifically. So this is the overview, like the umbrella, but then we'll see it again with the detail, which is why I'm moving through. And so when you take a look at, for instance, total school support, we'll see it in a second because that's where my notes are. All right. And then, okay. I'll keep on going because we'll see it in detail. Zeros are great. Or negatives to reduce because you found some optimization there. Yep.
Now I'm quite sure that the staff was already asked before they submitted to go in and find ways to optimize the money that we have available. So that's what we're seeing here.
And I think too, one of the things that if you all go back, you can go back and take a look at this presentation, but you'll also see that I'm going to find this page only because I've looked at it so much. Hold on, where's the one? Oh no, it should be in the beginning where he talks about, hold on, you guys, the deficit. Anyway, there's a yellow page that shares. Okay, I can't find it, but it's on here. There's a page that shows exactly that it started at 42. See, the deficit, initial budget deficit. So at the superintendent's recommendation, as the what Sonya was saying, we saw $42 million. And then the very next page, which is, I don't know, I thought it was the very next page. Anyway, you know how you really want to find something because you know it's there, but it's taking up time. That's what's happening right now. Anyway, it's a yellow page, but anyway, it just says that they went in and they found some cost savings opportunities, and therefore we went from 42 to 37. I'm gonna find that page. Right. It's yellow. Yeah. Okay. Pam also wrote in and said, Dolores was my budget engagement role model a decade ago when my son was in kindergarten. So much to learn from your experience, Dolores. Thanks for being here. Oh, absolutely. Yes. And so there was a question about special education. Let me see where that was. Hold on. Where did we see special education? Yeah. We're going to see it in the details, but if special education, I think I also highlighted that when we take a look at things like special education, we want to understand if there's any decreases in that, what's that being sparked by? Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we just don't want decreases to impact the level of service. That's what's important. Yes, and so that is one that I'm quite sure a lot of parents are interested in, and to see what that is about. So you can probably expect a lot of questions on the special education.
Absolutely. I think so, for sure. And we know because we've been hearing about, DIAB recently was let me take this comment off, sorry. DIAB was recently re-engaged, which is our disabilities issues advisory committee. And so there's been a lot of work done and a lot of discussions around making sure that our special needs population is at our forefront. Ms. Mill has said, Board Member Walker, great job with supporting the strategic plan. This is the level of engagement needed to help your constituents understand the budget, educate so we can become better advocates, and then we can act. Did you see my shirt, Ms. Millhouse? Educate, advocate, act together. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Board Member Boozer Struthers, yes, this is how we build a stronger school system, hands down, hands down. And listen, Take 9 challenge. Take 9 is a verb. Take 9 challenge means send this out to 9 people so that they too can be a little educated on the budget as we continue to go out. The Take 9 challenge, okay? Send it out to 9 folks, help 9 other people be educated, then give that to 9 people, because we are going to continue making sure that this is more than a slogan. This is about educating our constituents so that we can ask the right questions, we can advocate with one voice, and we can do what's right best for our scholars. Don't get me started on educate, advocate, act together. Thank you for that. All right, let's get into this thing. Hold on. Let's keep on going.
That's why I love my board member. She's action oriented.
Let's get it done. Let's get it done. All right. Okay, what are we doing here? I'm trying to get to but you could just take a look. So hold on.
Go to the start of this department so we could talk. They can see it.
Yeah, that's I did I miss that already? No, it didn't get there yet. That's what I was trying to.
You're in someone's.
Here's the
organizations.
Yeah, okay. Here it is right here. That's what I was. We're both thinking about the same thing. Okay, here we go, guys. Yes, here it is right here. So each organization, you're going to have this. Okay, so this one specifically looks at the Prince George's County Board of Education. And remember, in our phase 1 phase of this training right here, not a training, but our overview right here, it gives you the overview which we're about to see right now. So this is about the Board of Education, Prince George's County Board of Education. That's us. We have the Board of Education office and internal audit that reports to the Board of Education, along with the superintendent. And let me just use my down arrow. So what you see here is that the Board of Education is very transparent. The Board of Education is at 9 FTEs. We have the Board of Education
members
office at 8 and internal audit at 12. Where's the we'll see it in a second. Give me a minute. Okay. Before I ask that question that I should know the answer to already. Okay. All right. So let's keep on going. And it tells you what the cost is overall. Then remember that we saw this for the chief operating officer. No, not the chief operating officer, just chief financial officer. And this is it. It tells you about what the mission is, about what we're about to look at, what the strategic plan is. We got to make sure we update this before we send it out, because we no longer have our board member, Shayla Adams Stafford. Side note, there is an application process up until January 23rd. So if you know anyone in the District 4 area that is passionate about our scholars right here in Prince George's County, then the application process is a letter of interest, an interest letter, as well as your resume to be sent to the county executive's office. And you can find that on my Instagram page to take a look at how you do that overall. Okay. We are looking.
This seat will be appointed by the county executive. Correct?
Yes. And it's not, yes. So thank you for that. We are an all-elected board, except when a board member leaves, then based on the law, our county executive then appoints. And so because it was the new start of our board member, our District 4 board member's term, the appointment will be until the end of that term. And the end of that term is the 4-year term, which is 2028. So this person will be here with us until 2028. So we want to make sure that they're able to represent that district and have core passion around our scholars in Prince George's County. If you know someone inside of that area, then definitely go on my Instagram page and you can see what you need to do to turn in that information. Okay. All right, let's get back to it, because it's important that we see how this particular organization is structured, because everybody else is structured. So from here, it's going to go kind of fast. Okay. After we do the first one. All right. So we can see that these are unrestricted funds. Remember, we defined that in the beginning, that we have some flexibility around this. So Board of Education members in 2024, it was not an all elected board. So we had 13 go down to 9. And it's a 10-person board, but the 10-person board includes the student member of the board.
Mhm.
All right, here you go. And all right, so the way that you look at this, remember, this is what actually we spent, what was actual spend, what we approved, because don't forget, we went from 13 to 9, 163, we held steady, but the proposal is 234. Oh, is that when the law comes in for increases in salaries? I think 2026.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, 2026.
Because
So last year there was legislation that took the from $18,000 to, I think it's around $26,000. Don't mark me on that, but the end is,
it's 26, but you can see it broken down.
yeah, thanks. And so that's what you have here for salary and wages. And you go down. So I start at the bottom, actually. So I say, okay, it went from 280, we held steady, it's going to 379. What's driving it? Work our way back up. We see supplies are being, we went up for non-catered miscellaneous food supplies by $600. And in the benefits, it's really driven by employee salaries and benefits. That's exactly what it's driven by. Okay. So we can see here what those dollars are driven by. Okay. And if someone had questions about that, they can write their questions around that and get that answered. All right. Then you go down and you actually see this was from last year, which is why you see some members' names who are no longer here. But you can see in detail, again, every single one will break out. But this one just happens to be by cost center for.
And so let me say something really quickly. You see that some board members are more than others. That's because some board members elect to, be a part of the benefit package. So yeah, so that's why there is a difference. No one is really getting paid more than others.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
It's 26,000. That's how much you guys are getting now.
Yeah, 26,000, I think. And they projected me. Don't worry, y'all. I see that it's at 27,755. I don't know why. Don't worry. I'm not getting paid share. Yeah. I'm not getting paid share responsibilities, the extra 1,000. I'm not getting paid that. So I'll make sure. I'll see what that's all about. But it is because sometimes you elect different benefits and all of the things. So
yeah.
I know people will be out here thinking that Pam is making $42,000. She just has a family that's probably on hers. All right. Yeah. So Ms. Millhouse asked, oh, no, I haven't talked about that yet. Have you?
We just talked about it slightly in the very beginning. You just touched on it slightly, but you're going to go over it more
at the end. Yeah, I'll go over at the end for next steps because there are amendments. But thank you for that. No, I haven't touched on that yet in detail. We did do an overview at the beginning, but thanks. I'll keep that there so that we can make sure we come back to it. All right, let's keep going, guys. Yes. Okay.
So this is the staff.
Yes, and this is the staff. So remember early on, we saw that the board office was asking for an additional 1 FTE. And so this is what, oh, I lied, hold on. Oh yeah, this is
the board office administrator. That's your office executive?
Oh, Cindy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Yes. Okay. I started again. But we also had a new, the communication specialist will report into that too. So I'll find where that is. It's being requested for 2026. And don't forget that if you were here earlier, you can go back and listen to the replay. But if you were here earlier, then we talked about, I have one question on, for the $184,000 projected, are there any opportunities that we have to make that part-time, or the goal is to still get as much as we need for the role, because we know that we have a need, but what can we do, if anything, in order to reduce that? Okay, next. Everybody knows how to read that. You can see that for contracted services, there's a projection to reduce overall. And here you have operating expenditures with a slight increase for furniture and equipment, probably just replacements. Okay. Oh, here's the FTE right here. Communication specialist. That's it for staffing enhancements that we saw earlier. The one FTE that's being requested. This was 184,000. Don't forget, that's not the payment for that person. They're not bringing that home. That includes their salaries as well as their benefits overall. But we do have the question for overall optimization. Okay, that's how you read that. All right, that is how you read in general an organization's budget. So now we're going to kind of fly through because guess what? We only have a half an hour left. Oh my goodness, how'd that happen? Let's go. All right, so they're holding steady at 12, I'm sure. Yeah. That's the internal audit that we just took a look at. You all can look at this in detail. Sorry, this is the one that Pam Labuza-Strother mentioned earlier, that we do have an internal audit department, and you can see that they have 12 persons that work there. We have a director, financial administrator, and financial analyst that make up that department. Okay. They also take a look at fraud, waste, and abuse, which is what their role is. And if you take a look, because I went kind of fast on that, you guys, sorry. At the top of everybody's, don't forget that I said right here, you can take a look at what the mission of that is. For efficiencies, things of that nature. You could take a look at how it impacts the strategic plan and the core services that they are responsible for. Okay. You can also take a look at their budget plan and what their mindset was going in and what they are mandating themselves to be able to execute. Okay. So we do have that with a total of 12 people. Next is the Office of Integrity and Compliance. We did talk about that briefly. They have a total of 5 FTEs that were approved in fiscal year 25 at the cost of $1.5 million. And you can see there it's the same as everyone's. Let me just, as you can see, I highlighted that because I did have a question that is going to be there, but you can see that their core services per law is to monitor and enforce the compliance and procedures. And what you'll also see here is that for unrestricted funds, they actually in 2024, they had 3 FTEs. It was approved to have 4. They held steady at 4. I'm going to come in at fiscal year 2025 at 4, and they are proposing to have 1 additional. As noted, I do have that I'll be putting a question in around that for that additional FTE. It is in the building phase, and just trying to understand the ROI on that to make sure that as we look at a deficit of $37 million, that we actually can justify all of the costs. So it's not just this one, it's across the board that you'll see that I've highlighted throughout. Okay. And that person is it has a title right here. Here it is, as a compliance analyst that they are requesting. And that's at the cost of $204,000 for our 2026 budget. Okay. I already have that one as a question. Next. Yes. What is this one? Superintendent, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the superintendent's office.
Yes. And reporting.
And so this shows his, yep. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say is the chief of staff, which has under the chief of staff is the appeals and the government relations. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, also somebody had asked me this because they had gone through the budget, is who is the senior advisor to the superintendent, and that person is Luis. Okay, his name's Luis. Okay. All right, you can see here again, you read it the same type of way, is that what they're proposing as we move forward is a total of 41 total people for that organization. And then you say, well, what did they have last year? Well, we're about to go to it.
So scroll back up just a little bit for a second.
Yep.
Go up a little more.
Okay. Oh, onto the other page.
No, that's good. So
okay.
At each breakdown for the departments, you'll see that line will show you who the responsible person is.
Oh, yeah.
So the superintendent is, yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
So, so that person you can now show them where to find the department head there at the start of each budget.
And it might look different in each budget. This one, I like that it's here, but before, sometimes you had it big on a page before or something like that. But thanks for pointing that out. And great minds think alike, Sonya, because I saw the one for Mr. Fitzpatrick earlier, and in my mind, I said it out loud. So appreciate you. Okay. All right. You can see here that they had 5, they used 5, they're even at 5. Okay. Keep going down, the same thing. I usually go to the bottom. This is where my eyes go. I say, oh, okay, well, 1.2 million, you can see the difference between them holding steady at 1.15. And so you can take a look at where that is. Because they stay steady at their amount of folks, then it's likely going to be around salaries, benefits, and things of that nature. So you could go back and you can go back and take a look at that. Okay. But let's keep on diving down. Okay. On where was that still? Oh, general counsel. So this just goes through all of the superintendent staff. Okay. I feel like general counsel is asking for, is it? No, they're not for people. Hold on. Yeah, the same thing there. They remain steady. Chief of staff, they remain steady. I swear we just looked at that.
No.
Yeah, remain steady. Appeals office. So these appeals, I'm pretty sure a number of people have heard of this, but this is response to appeals related to transfers, homeless, etc. You could read it there. But sometimes when there's a decision that's made, whether it's for employees or for students, they can appeal decisions, and they would go to the superintendent as well as to the Board of Education, if depending on the appeal process. And we have personnel that take a look at that as well. So you can see that they remain steady at 7. Go ahead, Sonya, you want to add something?
No, I was just saying, in addition to your budget responsibilities, the board meeting responsibilities, you also have the responsibility of adjudicating an appeal by a staff or a student.
Yeah.
That's a part of the oversight commitment as a board member.
Yes. Right. That's great, because we do have fiduciary responsibilities, some of which we are reviewing right now inside of what the budget is. But to your point, for appeals, as well as for overall governance with policy as well. Okay. Love it. Oh, I went through that pretty quickly. Yep, student appeals, and then court liaison, I think is important too, because it's really, I'm going to call it wraparound service for lack of a better word, but it's all inclusive. Okay, let's go. All right. This is still inside of the superintendent's cabinet, not cabinet, but his employees, and this is still with the chief of staff. Okay, remain steady. Got it. This is government relations. So you can take a look at with that slight increase, and you can see that it's about employee benefits and salaries for cost of living adjustments, things like that. Okay. They're not big dollars yet. All right. We go now into the chief of communications. And again, everyone, exactly the same as how you read it. So you take your time and go through each and every one. I've made notes inside of mine and made some questions. Each board member, because I'm looking at the time and I want to make sure we get through all of the things. We're not going to go through each of these in detail. I think if we remember what our goal for today was, it was to understand generally about the budget, some key terms, how to really read it, where our eyes go. We've heard from some of the public and some of board members on how they take a look at the budget, some things that they want to call out specifically. Each board member, and I'll review before we leave the timeline once again, but each board member has until the 16th for our first round of overall questions. The goal of asking these questions and typing them in is to give it to the administration, not only to save time in the board meeting. It's not really about that. It's to make sure that as we go to approve this budget or recommend any modifications, that we're very clear on the questions and the answers that will guide our decisions. So for District 9 specifically, if you all have questions as you go through this, the bit.ly is right here on how you can get to the budget, bit.ly/budget 2026, then definitely write them here, send them to me, and the 16th, we'll have all of those questions presented. Those will come back for District 9 specifically. You'll see those questions and answers inside of our District 9 newsletter. That will be upcoming. Well, I guess the next one you'll get then will be in February, but you'll get those. And for all districts, you can ask your board member about their questions, and they're all made public at the end of the day. Okay. So you could go on pgcps.org now and type in, because I did it this morning, you can type in fiscal year 2025 budget questions, and you'll see the budget questions and answers that the administration gave back to, because they're public. Okay. All right. Whew.
Good. That's good to know.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Again, when you want to say like, how many people are within this organization? How many people are within this organization? You can go right here to the overview, and you can see right here when it comes to communications and community engagement, there are 43 total people that's doing that. Okay. And some people that might be passionate around this area might choose to dig in on this and say, it sounds big, but is it really? So they might go in and say, well, what are they supposed to do? What are they tasked with doing? How many people are there? They might go in and see a line that says there's only 2 people that's supposed to do all this work. So they might have a question on, are we not, like, help me understand why we're not taking staff from, I see 10 over here and only 2 over here. And I recognize what these folks are doing, but I know that in order for us to be successful in this area, what about if you could put 4 people over here, and can they get away with having a reduction of 2 over there and still get the work done? Those are the kind of questions that you might want to ask, that the chief will be able to say, let me take a look at that. And sometimes they come back and they say, you know what, that's a great idea. We hadn't looked at that, because one person can't do it all. All right. Let me see if there was any. Again, I always look at the same thing. So this one right here, I'm gonna pause on, because this here, they spent in 2024 fiscal year 597,000. We can say 598,000, and they were projected to spend 680. Well, it was approved 2025 by the board for 684,000, but we can see they actually spent, or are projected to spend, based on what they are spending now, 729,000, and then they're asking for an additional funds to go from what we approved of 684 to 854. Had I had a calculator, you could just subtract it and see what the real money is that's being asked. So for this one, I would go up and say, okay, that looks a bit substantial to me. And again, why would I stop on this? It's not to necessarily call them out. It's more to say, we are starting with a $37 million deficit. How exactly are we going to get to zero, and where can we penetrate in order to figure out if we can do some things more effectively and efficiently? So I would go up here and I say, okay, let's take a look at what's happening here. I see that the staffing is staying consistent. So I say, okay, I know it's just regular salary and wages. Okay, but look at here. Right here is so we go from 162, which is remaining steady, but then we jump to 422 for projected next year. So where is that coming from? It's coming from right here, going from $20,000 to $280,000. So I would say, oh, wait a minute, let me highlight that right there, because I want to ask a couple questions around the technical contractor services around communication. Technical contractor services. So this would be one of my questions around here for Luis to help understand, like, what is this? Talk to me a little bit about this jump.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It might be an error. We never know, but
Exactly.
It might not be. So that's something that we will definitely want to take a look at. So that's where my eyes kind of go on here. Where's my, hold on, y'all. I can't believe I hadn't highlighted that. But that's why you got to go through multiple times. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So when you do the different budget hearings, are you all talking about different sections each time?
Oh, yeah. So thank you for saying that. So yes, they'll break up into this, like the first half will be one budget section, work session. So after we do, I think the 2 question and answer sessions, or the 2 like general ones, then we break into, I think 3 and 4 are the ones where we break into going into the detail. So this one will have a specific one where we'll say, oh, let's dig into this one, where I'll ask that question. But I'll probably ask this question up front anyway.
Right.
And still ask it then. All right. And the goal is not to, so for my goal, whenever we have these, and I'm sure it was yours as well, is that when you're asking the questions, it's not necessarily to put people on a spot. It's really to really get the real answer, so that then we can see where we're going to put our funds. So that's why you write the questions in advance, if you can. If you know your questions in advance, give it to them so that they can make modifications and adjustments before we get to a board meeting. Because in a board meeting, we don't have infinite time, right? We have 2.5 minutes per 10 people, right? So that's 2.5 minutes per 10 people for round 1. Then we have a round 2 automatically, which everybody will probably use for our budget reviews. And then you can even vote on a round 3. So it's a long meeting. And if you can get your questions out before, it just really helps us to get more efficient on asking the detailed questions and being able to pull more out, because the departments can do some pre-work in advance, and they can challenge their own staff with their group to kind of think about how they can tackle something differently and more creative. Okay. All right. All right, we got 15 minutes. Let's keep it moving. So I think in general, we've done enough to kind of go through how you look at the budget. So at this point, everybody, you all now, I believe, have a good overview of how to look at this budget, how to go through it. I'm going to go through it again. Let me stop sharing real quick. Let me just real quick, one second. Because I want to, in our last 15 minutes, I want to make sure we could do the follow-up stuff. Hold on. And remember, I told you that there's a glossary in the back. That's why I'm going so fast. Oh, see, you can see I had questions on this one too, but don't worry. We don't have to look at all my questions. You will too have questions as you go through. Okay.
And we may have some fiscal experts out there that look at it even different. Yep. So if you're good with budgets, especially government budgets, bring that service, because it helps Lolita have a better handle on how to look at the budget.
Yes. And for instance, acronyms, I highlighted some and I'm like, oh, I always forget that one. I always forget what the S means in that, or something like that. So there's acronyms, and then there's also a glossary somewhere back here. It is. Here's also a glossary back here too. Okay. And these are some things I was going to share with you all up front, but you all can take a look at it there. One of the things I do want to do, let me stop sharing, really stop sharing. Great. Whew. All right. I would like to go back to what we said we were going to deliver today. Let me get my little cheat sheet here to make sure we did. Okay. All right. So you ready to check to see if we did all of the things?
Let's check.
Yes. Let's see if we did all of the things. We said, all right. We said in 2 hours.
Said a lot.
We said in 2 hours, we were going to do the following: read and make sense. No, we said when they leave here today, they will be able to do this. So you all can type in and see if you all really are able to do this. Okay. Let's hear from at least one person. Read and make sense of the PGCPS budget. I would give us a check on that. I think we do.
I say check.
I think that's a check. Okay. Understand general budget terminologies. Yes.
Check.
That's a green check. Yes. Focus your attention on what's most important to you. I think that's a green check too.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a check?
I think it's a check.
I do.
And they know what the superintendent is focusing on. So that's a double check.
Boom. I mean, look at that. Next is increase your budget confidence to craft questions, and you can be prepared for a 3-minute public comment, written testimony, or video testimony. I feel like we check that.
I think so. I wonder what the audience think, but yeah, I know
so. They're not typing. They might be cooking breakfast or lunch or something like that. Just listening in. Okay. they might have, they just might be so excited about this wonderful information that they're getting. It is important that stakeholders, right. Yes, it's important that stakeholders understand budget terms. Absolutely. Okay, let's go again. What else do we have? And then the last thing we said we wanted folks to walk away with was to share any questions that they may have based on what we reviewed. I said, feel free to place it in the questions in the chat. People leverage the chat. Yes. There's no dumb questions. It's a learning process, which we recognize. I think we checked that. If you have any questions beyond today, which you likely will, please use the overview education of today to now advocate and act. I think we checked that too. So Ms. Millhouse, thank you for answering, because we just answer ourselves. It's like a podcast when you talk to yourself. She said, yes, re-budget. Yes, re-budget. Background in developing and managing budgets in government and non-government industries. Oh, awesome. Great. Look at that. When District 7 meets District 9, it's just like partnerships happen over here. We are excited to have you. Okay. Yes, look at Ms. Belfield. She said, check, and check. Thank you. Board member Anderful said, checks all around. I have a dry January, you guys, but I am going to toast you with my water right here.
Hilarious.
That's awesome. All right. So we also said today's format. Let me take that off. Oh, yes. Last question. Thank you, Ms. Millhouse. Did everyone send the link to 9 people? The Take 9 challenge is real.
Love it.
The Take 9 challenge is real. We're all about educate, advocate, act together. We can only advocate if we're educated. We can only act together if we're educated and advocating. So this is legislative season, everybody. It's imperative that we understand the budget. We are looking at our $37 million deficit. We got to be real. Listen, everybody, the red pen can go to everybody, including us.
Yes.
We have to ask the questions. Also, once we get to a balanced budget, which is going to be tough, there's going to be tough decisions that have to be made. Once we get to the balanced budget, we then send it into the county executive. Likely because the county executive is receiving everybody's and also has the balance of budget. It likely will come back and be, I won't say likely, we never know. But what experience has shown us is that there'll be some decreases that we then have to go through the reconciliation process again. Not again, we have to go through a reconciliation process in order to balance it.
Right. Again. In my 9 years on the budget, we've only had one time where we had no reconciliation because we got what we asked for. So that just shows you that more than likely, we're going to have to do a reconciliation. And so I think that the bonus
amendments. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. The bonus of what you just did, the members of the public that are watching this, they can actually use this skill to review the overall county budget and talk to their county council person.
Good point. Where's the amendment thing? Hold on.
It was in one of your early slides in the beginning.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Where was step 1, step 2, step 3?
Yes. Thank you. All right. So yes, thank you, Ms. Millhouse. Guess what Ms. Millhouse says? Is I took the Take 9 challenge. Thank you so much, Ms. Millhouse. And guess what? The Take 9 challenge, you guys, I wasn't really prepared today, but it's like an outright declaration and affirmation for you. I have it and I'm going to put it in my next newsletter. If you are not on my newsletter, you too can sign up. You don't have to be just in District 9 to get all the District 9 juiciness that pops out. You can too go to, I'll put it on here, bit.ly. You can sign up for the District 9 newsletter. But let me show you guys this as we look to.
So there's a comment in the private chat.
Okay. Oh, yay. Okay. So we do not have to accept the state and county elected leaders' position to not act of progressive tax and revenue reform in order to meet their obligations to fully fund PGCPS. Advocate. Yes. Thank you so much, Pamela Boozer-Struther. We also have, Pam also wrote on behalf of the district.
Gotta go down. Oh,
okay.
Go ahead.
On behalf of the District 3 students, parents, and community, thank you. I have promoted on Facebook and X. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Also, we have, Oh, I've shared this in our PTSO Facebook group. This is Miss Perkins. Hey, Miss Perkins. She is super active in District 9. She is I was going
Yay.
to say chair, but president of Frederick Douglass High School, PTSO. And we are so appreciative of the work that you always do on behalf
Yes.
of Frederick Douglass.
This is why we rock in District 9.
Okay. Let me show this to you guys. Let me see.
You want to bring Dr. Miller in as we close out?
Have her give a thumbs up if she wants to come up. Let me
Yeah, she put something in the private chat.
Oh, she did. Okay, yeah, I'll bring
Yeah.
it up. Let me yeah, let me share this real quick. So then, all right, I'm bringing you up, Dr. Miller. How you doing? Happy Saturday. We can't hear you. You're on mute. She worked so hard for this technology this morning.
I know.
We can't hear you. Okay, while she does that, reconciliation.
So can we go back to that one you were just in? You see that the proposed, it says September to December, then requested January to February, reconciliation and approval March to June. There is a gap between June and September. That is when staff is starting to develop their budgets. So talk to your principals, talk to your department leads between June and September to really make an impact on the budget before they've even started to develop it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you for that. Yeah. But this is, I'm talking, yeah, I'm looking at the amendment process because we do make amendments.
Yeah, keep scrolling.
You saw it on here? Okay.
Yeah, you did it. It was earlier today. It
My
was
brain,
like your part one, step 2, step 3, keep going.
Where the heck? Here
there
it is.
We go. Yep.
All right, Board of Education amendments. So the amendments is phase 2, and I do have a calendar on what that looks like. I have to, darn, I'll put that in. I'll post it somewhere. But the amendments is a process, so board members can make amendments, things that they don't see inside of the budget already that they might want to add. So last year there was some amendments. One was on like food and nutrition. So actually, board member Adam Stafford introduced one that was on no dairy, no soy. I said no dairy, no soy, but just taking a look at milk alternatives, I think is what she called it. So we started working with the COO on. Let me stop sharing this because was this all it said?
No, you're going over. Yeah, that's all it said about the amendments.
That's it? Okay. No, here, look, phase 2. Here go the amendments right here. So, yes. So Board of Education starting in, well, we can now up until January, up until the end of the month, add in amendments, any amendments that we want to add in, which behooves us to do a little early. And then you can see on February 7th, mark your calendars, is that the administration then prepares the responses. Oh, don't mark your calendar on that one. The administration just prepares that. But the OBAFA committee, which is what you want to listen into or make sure you watch, is that they review the amendments, talk about them, and then have recommended out of that committee, recommend updates to the superintendent's proposed budget. But in the work session, we go through each of those in February. Okay. So board members have an opportunity to have amendments that they want to put through. And that's when the chief financial officers group will take a look and see, well, what does this mean fiscally? How can we really do it? The board votes on it and say if we can do it. Amendments are going to be critical this year to take a look at because we too, like legislators, when they present things with fiscal notes, we got to be mindful of that too, because we also are trying to balance a budget and get this $37 million back. All right. What else were you going to add, Sonya?
No, that's it. That's it.
Okay. And then Dr. Miller, can we hear you yet?
Can you hear me?
Woo! Success. Hello. Thank you for joining us.
I am very excited, Board Member Walker. This presentation has been both enlightening and very informative. And I'm glad you brought in the part about the OBAFA committee and amendments, because that's important. The public doesn't see that until after it has taken place. But nonetheless, attending these board meetings, especially listening in on the budget and budget committee, will be very helpful in addressing some of the concerns that parents have or our stakeholders, I should say, have put to us. I'd just like to thank you for providing this forum and taking up my 2 hours of my Saturday time, but it was worth it. And yes, I will bring in 9 plus 9 plus 9 because more people need to know what is going on with our budget. Folks hear that the school system gets 2/3 of the county's budget. They also need to understand that that budget gets tapped into unexpectedly sometimes, and other agencies, or I'll just say
legislative bodies.
See the school system as a cash cow, and we are not. We are really doing more than what our budget sometimes allows, but we succeed. And as I said the other night at some event, Prince George's County school system is the best system for educating our Black and Brown students, or scholars as we refer to them. And I'd like to thank Ms. Millhouse and Dr. The two new board members who I have not met yet. I wish you success on the board, and you can expect to see me here and there, especially when they're questionable decisions around the policies of the board. Thank you, Ms. Walker, again for including me. And I got your back. Thank you. And
Thank you.
Weekend.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. We have a number of comments. No, I appreciate it. The thing is, I think you got to stay tapped into people who are doing the work, and you both are in District 9. I love District 9. I graduated from school in District 9. We have people like Ms. Perkins and Ms. Harris, who I know is probably tapped in somewhere, listening in, who are always on it for District 9. So I appreciate it. And in each of your districts, I know District 3 is represented, District 1 is represented, and probably a number of other districts are listening in. And because District 7, and because everybody's taking a Take 9 challenge, then I know that all the districts will be able to hear it. And again, this, I jokingly / for real always say District 9 rocks, and I really, really mean it because it's deep inside my heart. It's deep here. I am District 9, but this is for Prince George's County as a whole. So let's take a look at these last comments that people have. Ms. Millhouse said this definitely is going to be a challenging period with budget deficits at all levels. Yes, federal, state, local. We talked about that earlier. Advocate on behalf of the scholars, not the adults. Advocate on behalf of the scholars, not the adults. I love that. Thank you as a reminder. Hi, ladies. Thank you for all you do. Hey, Ms. Perkins. Let's see what else we have. I sent this to my administrators. Everyone needs support in reading this massive document. It is massive. There's no need to be overwhelmed. One step at a time. It's imperative for us to work together. Yes. And when I had I do these parent community summits. And when I had my last the parent community summit, they tasked me with making sure, like, this is coming up. This is what we're going to do. Because we talked about educate, advocate, act. Education on a budget is what we needed. So technically, I feel like I can claim this as a parent community summit. Done.
I think so.
Go ahead, Dr. Miller.
Even though it's a massive document, so is the Bible. But you go to the Bible for reference on a certain issue. So consider this the Bible for our budget. And if there's a certain area, go to that area. I mean, it's not like you have to read the whole document at one time, but be familiar with it. Just the familiarity is a big key in terms of understanding that budget better. So look at it like you look at the Bible. Here's, these are the verses from this book. And when it comes to just like my issue, or my concern would be what's going on with special ed, because that's my background and my passion. So I'll look at all of those things that will impact that. And then I look at other parts of the budget that may impact that area of concern.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So don't scare away, Lolita, by telling them it's a massive document. It's massive, but it's very, very important.
It's massive and manageable. Massive and
it's manageable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would love for you to do something similar when we get the report back on student achievement, because that
Ah,
is where you will
that's a good one.
see that our students of color, Black and brown students, do very well comparative across the state. And so, and that really needs to be broken down the way people will just look at the surface, but you have to dive deep when you're trying to compare our student achievement with, with others.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Because
that's
I
good.
like to, let me just brag a little bit for a second. I have a senior at Frederick Douglass High
Yep.
School, and my PTO president is represented here, which is also wonderful. He was accepted to 3 colleges, and he's in the IB program, High Point University, and Hampton University, and Towson University. So thanks to PGCPS.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Yay, congratulations, Santana. Let's party, always ready. And then thank you so much, Ms. Millhouse, for joining us. Hi, District 7 representing. She came to the table. She said, hold on, wait a minute.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning. I am here, but I'm always here to support with the work that you are doing. I love you all. Maybe I should move. Maybe not. I don't know. But I appreciate this forum that you had and every forum that you have, because it really is about educating the constituents about what we need to do collectively, and me mentioning that it is a massive document. It is, and some people will sit in a silo and try to go through it alone.
Mm-hmm.
But just sitting here, the wealth of information that was gained from this session is going to teach people how to break it down piece by piece. And just like we may go to church or any spiritual leader that we go to, the guide have some guidance, right, in reading through the Bible. Let me just say, Reverend Walker, what you just did with this budget book. Okay, what you did is you created some disciples. So now we got to go out and teach one and bring some more in.
Take the 9.
Bring it in.
So
Yes.
So this won't be our last supper.
Excuse
Take
me,
9.
Citizen is interrupting right now. You made a significant statement, Ms. Millhouse. Instead of just one board member doing it for her district, I think this is important to all districts.
Yep.
And I believe
Yeah, for
that
sure.
with
Yes.
Walker's initiating it, and there are other board members on here, I would really recommend, I highly recommend that all 9 board members get together and just do one big forum for all of your stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
You won't have bits and pieces, and you won't be operating in silos. And
Yep.
you really, really need to think about that. And that's something that we, Ms. Millhouse and other, when we come to speak to the board, we can emphasize that this should be done during the budget season, and a collaborative of all the board members.
Mm-hmm.
This budget doesn't just impact District 9.
Yep.
The whole county.
Yep. And that's why I appreciate you always opening it up to any and everybody. Although you were appointed, well, not appointed, you were elected. You were elected. You were elected. You worked hard. You were elected to represent District 9. But what you do as a proven leader on the board is you represent what the need is for all of the constituents, but with the child in mind. And so that would be great if the board members could come together as a collective, but it has to be led by a person who understands the budget, right?
Yeah.
It got to be led by somebody who can walk you through, who taps into previous leaders who did an amazing job in leading this board, and the work that you all have done, right, paves the way for the continuation of the work that needs to be done. So when you partner with the right-minded people who are righteous in the work, then we're going to get some things done.
We're gonna get it
We're gonna
done.
get some things
Get everybody
done.
some shirts. I'll get y'all some shirts. Look, we've had a number of different comments. I want to give a shout out to Tim Meyer. Thank you so much. Listen, Tim is all in, okay, for District 3, but he represents all of the whole PGCPS. And we always say, oh, like District 8 is great, District 9 rocks, District 7's out there. We represent our districts, okay, 1 through 9. But we also know that this is for Prince George's County as a whole. It's just like I'm an AKA, we first and finest got to do the thing. But then I love Sonya too, as the Zelda who she is. I love her too. But AKA is always win. Okay.
So we always have fun in the work, because the work, it can be daunting and hard. But
for sure,
when you have relationships and you build relationships, not just with staff members, but also the administrative staff coming together to work to get things done, you can get things done. And just like Board Member Walker said, this isn't not reviewing this budget and asking the questions isn't about a got you. It's about making it better. And that is the way I've always approached the budget, and the way the soon-to-be Dr. Walker approaches the budget, and the way Dr. Miller approached the budget. It's about improving our operation with our limited money that comes to us. So
for sure,
this is just, it's been awesome.
And thank you. And so this is important what Pamela wrote right here. Budget work session and public hearings are when we are in OMA compliance for budget reviews. So for us to go out and have more than 6 people, it means a meeting. More than 6 board members there equals a meeting, or 6 or more board members equal a meeting. And so these budget public hearings, and one of the things I can say in the spirit of what Dr. Miller was talking about getting multiple board members together to be able to do this in a community, is that we do have Northern, Central, and Southern, which could get together. So I've done programs with 7, 8, and 9 together. For instance, Madeline and Dr. Kenneth did some work together as a group, because that is ours. So we could do that and still be in OMA compliance. So thank you so much for mentioning that, because it's so super important, because we could get, somebody might send us in. And then Dr. Anderful, who is District 1, actually also is looking to implement this inside of her district for District 1, but may have the opportunity to do like 1, 2, and 3 together or something like that. Okay.
My message was that I believe in people hearing the same message at the same time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you would not be out of compliance to have a town hall meeting with all the board members there and communicating the budget. That's just my position on it.
As long as you meet the notice,
right?
The notice of apparent and in compliance with the dates, you can do it.
This is the last thing I want to show you all. I talked about pgcps.org, all things. You can find it at pgcps.org, but also on pgcps.org, you can also look at the Board of Education under offices. And I love the new framework of the Board of Education site. Great job. So what you can do here is, the reason I'm doing this is because if you would like to participate in a board meeting or a public meeting, this is where I talked about your public comment for 3 minutes. This is where you click for that. You can also, the video and live archives, I'm going to click on that one specifically, because when you go down and you click view complete list of archived meetings, that's what you want to do. And I'm showing you where you will be able to find the superintendent talk in general about the budget, which we did review today. But this is where you can find like OBAFA meetings. All of our committee meetings are here. And it is the one, it doesn't have a date on it, but it's this one right here. School board meeting, Mr. Moss, Dr. Moss is on the front of it. But if you click here, this around 42, I feel like it's around minute 42. Let me see how good I am. Hold on, let's check it out. I'm telling y'all, I be working. Okay, so this, I was almost close. So it's around minute 41 when the superintendent starts talking about his overall budget, okay? And then it goes all the way over here. It's about 20 minutes, okay? So we didn't want to hear it, but I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. For you all that's on the line, if you can just stay really quickly, for the four ladies that's on here really quickly, I want to give you guys a special thank you. But thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. We only were 12 minutes over. Look at that, 12. Play the numbers, y'all. Play the numbers. All right. See you guys. Thank you very much. And listen, send it to 9. But if you also need to be able to walk through it, listen to it whenever. This is on my Facebook page, which I think is like at Lolita, the number 4 PGCPS District 9. And then on my YouTube, it's at Lolita for PGCPS D9. All right. I was trying to get it here. If you want to register for my newsletter, it's not just for District 9, it's just news that's out and around. Here it is, bit.ly/district, the number 9 news. It'll take you to what's that thing called? School messenger. No, it's not messenger. What's the thing called where you sign up? Anyway, whatever. It'll take you there to be able to subscribe. The beauty of going through this link right here is it's not only District 9 news you can sign up for. You can sign up for all the districts. I sign up for all the districts. You can sign up for every single district. Whenever that board member sends out information, then you will get it. The beauty is that you'll know what's happening inside of each of the districts. So that's for you guys. It's district wide. Okay. What else do I have for you guys? Look, we're over time. Send a note. Enjoy your day and all of the things. Okay. Here's one more lasting comment. Ms. Perkins said, thank you all. This was very insightful. Taking the charge back to our Frederick Douglass High School community. The Take 9 challenge is real. If you go back to the last newsletter, I have what you can say out loud to make it feel like you're accountable and committed to this Educate, Advocate Act. Okay. Oh, there's board member Zakia is of District 8. She was listening in. She said, thank you. Great job. I'm excited that you are here. If you all did not know, our District 8 member, which is one light away in Fort Washington, her name is Miss Zakia Goins McCants. Okay. And so she is here for District 8. All right. Thank you guys. I'm about to end the live stream. Have a great day.